sent me the lyrics to Elisa. I don't know if that's the correct way to pronounce Alessia, I think it is, Cara's song, Scars to You're Beautiful, and this friend has sent it to me 3 times, so we know that it really touches her. Well, this song touches so many people, and I want to read some of the lines from it. And the first part of it, she is talking about, of the pain. She doesn't see herself, beautiful. She doesn't see the light that's shining within her that's deeper than eyes can find it. And she tries to cover her pain and cut her woes away. But there's a hope that's waiting for you in the dark. You should know you're beautiful just the way you are. And you don't have to change a thing. The world could change its heart. No scars to you're beautiful. We're stars. And we're beautiful. And then she goes on to say later on in the song, no better you than the you that you are. No better life than the life we're living. No better time for your shine. You are a star, and you are beautiful, just as you are. And then she goes on to say again, there's hope that's waiting for you in the dark. You should know you're beautiful, just the way you are. You don't have to change a thing. The world could change its heart. No scars to you're beautiful. We're stars, and we're beautiful. So take a moment and let that in. And if you watch carefully, you'll see that this urge to kindness, a lot of it is, for other people, is all over social media. Yes, the terrorists and the manipulators and the vicious ones are there too. But look, you'll see this huge, gigantic wave of kindness, most especially for other people. But now it's beginning to show up, like with Alessia Cara's song, kindness for ourselves. We deserve our own kindness, and we are beautiful just as we are. Watch what your mind did with that. I know. We're so trained to look at what is wrong with us, and so untrained to look at what is right. But you are a treasure box. You are an absolutely unique human being. Life brought itself forth as you because it needed to express itself as you. And you are exactly the way you need to be. And nobody else has it more together than you do. I don't know if you probably saw a lot on the news about Chris Watts, the man, and I believe it was in Colorado or maybe it was Utah, that strangled and then his wife and then suffocated his 2 young children and then went on the TV saying, oh, I hope wherever you are, whoever took you, kidnapped you, please come back to me. And then when they finally discovered it was him, he said, no, it was my wife. I killed her in a fit of rage because she had strangled my children. Well, those children weren't strangled. They were smothered with a pillow. And these were 2 young girls. Oh, it just breaks your heart. If you went on social media, even a day before this happened, you would have seen a perfect American family. We show to the world, whether it is how we dress or the pictures that we put out into the world, we show the world who we think we should be. And we don't know how to share what's underneath it. That's why songs like Scars to You're Beautiful is so important, because we're starting to be real. We're starting to realize that at some level, all of us are hurting. At some level, we are all thinking that we need to be better or different than what we are, which means we can't meet ourselves with kindness as we are. And just like those people in the hospital, kindness, love, deep acceptance, it is magic. All of this trying and doing to be better or different than what you are, has it ever brought you the healing you long for? It is your heart that will bring you to the place that you finally know that you are enough. You are enough as you are, and your life is exactly the way it needs to be. So, if this resonates with you, I invite you to write a note to your younger self. You know, we've all been on a journey, and we've all taken on a lot of heartache. And you may still be comparing, yourself to somebody else. Well, they have more heartache than I do. Everybody is given the exact measure of heartache they need for their journey through life. So don't diminish your pain, but realize that you have taken on a lot of pain. You've taken on what I talk about in What's in the Way is the Way, the 8 core spells that we all believe. The first 2, I am separate from life, and life is not safe. Those are the 2 foundational spells. We have never been separate from life. We just think we are. And when you separate, then all of a sudden there's this big, huge thing called life that you can die at any moment, or you can be rejected at any moment, or you can gain weight even though you're trying to desperately not gain weight. And so we become afraid of life, and we believe we have to control it. And so then there are the 3 operating spells. Now I've got to do life. I got to control it. I got to do it right, this mythical idea of what right is, and I'm not doing it right enough. So then we go back right to, I got to do it right, but I'm not doing it. I don't know what right is, this mythical idea, and so I'm not doing it right enough. But that leads you to the 3 hidden spells, and these have come from working of the grace of seeing deeply into the minds and hearts of tens of thousands of people over 30 plus years. And the 3 hidden spells are, and we all have them. There's not one person I've ever explored with that doesn't have this. And most of this is hidden from most people. Because I'm not doing it right, that means I am wrong. Then that means I am unlovable. And then that means I'm not alone. You have carried all that heartache. And I invite you, if you have some pictures of yourself when you were very young, find them. Or if you don't, call your family and put them around your house, or put them in your journal, or put them by the side of your bed so you can see them when you wake up and go to sleep. And there's no accident what moments were captured, were frozen in time. And be fascinated by the pictures that were taken of you. And if you look closely, you may be able to see the pain that you were carrying even as a child. And I invite you to write to that child. It could be, you could do this at different times. You could write to your 2-year-old, or another time you could write to your teenager, or you could write to your 8-year-old. But let them know that you come from their future. And you want them to know that you understand, that you recognize the pain that they are carrying right now, and that it is going to be okay, maybe not for a while, but that this is what you've learned, and you want to tell your 8-year-old or your 2-year-old or your teenager what you've learned. Things that are really important, like you're okay as you are, and you are lovable. And let them know that they will come to, that you will be a part of a long journey where they will be put out of your heart. But there will come a time that they will come back to your heart. Because you're listening to this, you are on that journey. You are on the journey of allowing every single part of you back into your heart. And if it doesn't call to you to write letters, it's very important to write this down. But for some people, that didn't call to me at the beginning. So I did this in my imagination, and it's so interesting that my I was very allergic to food. I think that was a reaction to the terror and the paranoia, the insanity of my childhood. And well, it first began with I was not breastfed, nor was I held most of the time when I was fed. I was bottle propped, this horrible, monstrous thing that was created and used all those years ago. And so I started sucking my thumb, and that wasn't okay. You know, in those days, no, children don't suck their thumbs, so they painted my thumb, and I sucked my fingers, and so they painted my fingers, this horrible tasting stuff. And I sucked through the horrible tasting stuff. I needed connection. I needed comfort. So what they would do, especially at night, they would put popsicle sticks on my hands and then tie my hands down. And so the first time I did this is I went into that bedroom where that little child was, and she was probably, 1.5, 2 years old. And I sat by her bed, and I told her, I am from your future, and I am who you will become, and I am here to tell you that I see your pain. I know what you are going through. The very interesting thing is I sat in a chair by the bed, and it was only a number of years later I went back in my imagination, and now I crawled into bed and held her, and she just cried and cried and cried. This is a very powerful thing to do, whether you do it in your imagination or you write a letter, because you're beginning to contact that pain that got frozen inside of you. Is there a child inside of you? Well, I think it's more frozen energy. That self-hate, that fear, that sadness, that feeling of all being alone got frozen inside of you. And that can begin to thaw. Just like these people that were dying in the hospital, they would just melt under the presence of pure, accepting love. And the same is true for you. That you can give this to yourself, and you can begin by writing these letters. And you can also begin by getting to know how you have learned to judge yourself. And if that intrigues you, I've done other shows on that, but if you want to, you can email us. You can find the email on my website, maryo'malley.com, and we will send you the chapter from Belonging to Life called Disarming the Judger. It talks about how I learned how to unhook from this extreme self-hate and bring even it back to my heart. So come back to scars, to your beautiful. You are beautiful just as you are. And notice what your mind did with that. Did you let it in for just a moment? That is another step into your heart. And if you couldn't let it in, that is another opportunity to see how you were conditioned to put yourself out of your own heart. What happens when you begin to braille your way back into your heart? you begin to let go of what I call the knot of endless trying.